Hi everybody, I'm Tim Belot and welcome back to Adventure Backcountry, and this is part 2 of our fuel pump fail. And let's take a look at where we're at right here, okay? So this is our fuel pump unit, okay, Crown Automotive, and this is the pieces you saw in part 1 that that failed on us, this little hose that we had right here, okay? So we've replaced this with a much sturdier, much higher pressure piece of hose that we got down at our local hardware store, and it is fuel line, and we have secured it with some legitimate fuel line clamps here, okay, not something that's kind of loose like these, although it is wedged between the pump and the line here. It's definitely secure. So we've got this this unit rebuilt. We've got some good high pressure hose in here, and we're going to start reassembling this and getting it back together. Now my plan was to put a check valve in here also, and I have some check valves on the ascent line, on the ascending line, but the check valves that I have are the wrong size, so I'm going to put it back together without that and just have to install those a little bit later, because I'm anxious to get this thing fired up and just see how the fuel pressure holds on it at this point. So anyway, let's get to work. This will take just a minute to drop this in the tank, get it screwed down, get it reassembled. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. We just drop this in the way that we took it out on the previous video, and now we're just running these bolts back in where they go and just kind of getting them hand tight, and then we'll come around and run them all in. Okay, so we got this this impact on the low setting, and we're not gonna really snug them so much with the impact as we are just running them down. Not anything you want to put a lot of torque on, but just get it saving us a little time here. All right, and then we'll get the socket on it, and we'll snug these up. Okay, so the large hose here is the output. Let's get that back in. And the small hose here is the return. Okay, get that back on. Good. All right, so we're just going to run those up tight, and we're going to tighten down these hose clamps here. And then all we have left to do is connect up our power connection, and then we can reconnect the battery. We did disconnect the battery for this operation because we're doing something with some kind of electrical. It's not part of the actual engine electrical system per se, but it is running under electrical power, this fuel pump, so we went ahead and cut that. So this right here, this line that I'm on right now, this is the line I was actually going to install the check valve, okay, and I have a couple of them, but this hose here is a little bit too big, and it's not gonna tighten up correctly. So I will get this thing running, and I'll have to order a proper size check valve and install that at a later date. Okay, so this is just as simple as hooking this back up, and we are snapped into place. All right, we're going to reconnect the battery and we'll be ready to test. There is still a little gas in here. Okay, so with the absence of a check valve, it's going to take a few cranks to probably build some fuel pressure back up and maintain that pressure enough to get us a start. So we've got the battery reconnected, and I'm going to let you guys watch the fuel gauge while I get on that ignition. Here we go. All right, look for that tick. Heard it engage. Tick it one more time. Nothing. Let's see what happens. All right, so we're running 40 pounds, okay? That's a good sign. Now I'm going to turn this off and you're going to see it drop because it doesn't have a check valve. Alright, you can see that pressure bleeding off there. It's holding a little bit, but yeah, there is no check valve there, so it's not holding like it would. If you normally should stay at 40 pounds, but it's already down to 30, and it'll bleed right back off again. But that's a lot better than what we were before. That's better than the 4 pounds that we were getting. Let's crank it up and let it run for a minute. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just testing out the fuel regulator. So when I disconnect the vacuum, you can see the rise in pressure there. Okay, that's a good sign. That means the fuel regulator is doing its job. Okay, it's increasing pressure without vacuum, and with vacuum it decreases pressure. So that balances out fuel pressure and acceleration. Okay, so this is looking good. I like what I'm seeing here. You know, none of us like to see new parts fail, especially when we're doing a restoration project such as this, and we put new parts in it just for the reason of not having to deal with possibly changing an old part out on the trail. I got lucky here that this happened close to home. Had it happened out on an actual expedition, sure, we could have repaired this, but it may have required us to make a run into town and buy some parts, and draining that fuel out on the trail would have been kind of a pain, and then dropping that tank in general. So, what did I learn from this? First of all, it does no good to get mad, okay? I can get mad and scream at Crown Automotive all I want for putting a cheap piece of hose in there, because that's exactly what they did. You can feel the difference. But that doesn't help my imminent situation any, okay? So, trying to learn from it, and what I got out of this is that in my supply, okay, I will include some sections of fuel hose, some hose clamps, and items that I need to make fuel line repairs should I have to deal with it. Not just in the tank, but just anywhere along this line. There's steel fuel lines, and then there's fuel hose. And if any of those damage, I need to be able to fix those on my own, as well as a spare regulator, which I carried with me anyway. These are small parts, they don't weigh much, and they don't take up much room, and pretty much any of that is easy to fix, with the tank being the most difficult, and we were able to do that. The only thing that we didn't utilize on the trail, won't utilize on the trail that we utilize here, is the floor jack. I don't carry a floor jack. I have a hydraulic jack just a bottle jack that I carry, but we still could have made it work to drop that tank. So anyway, so let's get this tank bolted up. It's still got some gas in it, so let me see if I can do it with the gas in it. If not, I'm going to have to drain it a little bit further, but let's get this bolted up, and that's going to pretty much complete this project. All right, so we got the tank back in it. That's pretty simple, just 4 bolts this side and 3 bolts on the back side. The hardest part about getting the tank in there is just maneuvering it around the tailpipe right up in here. But we had about 4 or 5 gallons of gas in there still, and we were able to do it without any gas. It would actually be pretty easy. So no big issues. And utilizing our Harbor Freight siphon hose, we are replenishing our fuel supply. All right, so we're going to replace the fuel that we siphoned out earlier, take it for a test run, but everything's looking good. The fuel pressure is still holding at 30 pounds. So even though Crown Automotive said that there's not a check valve in there, I'm saying there is one that's built into the motor, obviously, because my I dropped from 40 down to 30, and I'm holding at about 28 pounds. So hey, maybe I don't need to install a check valve out after all. But I will say this: since I replaced that hose, my startups are a lot quicker. It's made a huge difference already, and already my baseline pressure is higher. I'm running at 40 pounds, where before, from the time I put that pump in, shortly thereafter, it's only been running at 28 pounds before I even started realizing that it was beginning to fail. So anyway, this was not meant to be a how-to video more than it was. We're just kind of keeping you up with our rebuild project, and our 93 Jeep and our 91 Jeep and so forth. So we do have an expedition coming up in June. We hope to get you some information out on that soon. But anyway, thank you for joining, liking and subscribing to this channel. We appreciate that very much. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we will catch you on the next one of Project 93 YJ here at Adventure Backcountry.